Good evening once again and welcome to another Doctor on Call. It is a pleasure as always to be with you, of course, and to share information with you that can help improve your wellness. So we welcome all our viewers on GBN Television 7 and 11, our friends on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also our listeners on K105 FM. Welcome, and of course this evening we're looking forward as usual to sharing information with you, and of course we'd like to hear from you as well. You can call 435-2041. You can use our WhatsApp platform, the same number, 435-2041, or you can send us a message on our Facebook page, yes, or on our YouTube channel. And of course, we'll definitely share your contribution with the rest of our listeners. Doc is with us this evening. Doc, good evening. How are you?
I missed you.
You did. Yeah. Well, the thing is, you decided to go play jab and leave me alone. So then I don't understand why you would say that.
I watched jab.
You watched jab?
I watched jab. Yeah. The days of playing jab. I never really played jab. I don't remember ever leaving home to go and play jab. But you dress appropriately. You dress so that you wear disposable clothes.
So when the next job pass on Russia?
So yeah, because the days, remember when we were teenagers, right? When we were adolescents and young adults, and they played jab, the kind of jab that we had, you couldn't identify who the people was. Remember that, right?
Oh yeah, I mean it was. Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you. In our time, in Tivoli, it was different. So the young guys, the adolescents, the young fellas, we played jab with cliff. So we would go by the river, cut the cliff off, wet it, and we'd use that, make a paste. Yeah, and we would play with that. Now, as you grow old, and as our grandparents say, when you turn man, then you graduate too. And in those days, it was tar and not the old oil. It was tar. And you would have to get but no, you had to get the shortening, and properly grease yourself, and then the tar was placed over that. Now the thing about that is when the sun starts to hit you and you start to sweat. Yeah. And at the end of the day, it was fun because the jabs, they used to just lie on the pitch, on the road, and just roll themselves back and forth to remove the tar, to help remove the tar.
Oh,
yeah.
And you fix up the road after?
No, they just lie and the tar just comes off. It doesn't really interfere.
Fixing up the road, enhance the surface?
No, yeah, I mean, it's no big deal. In fact, to me, that was the best way, rather than defacing vehicles. And I mean buildings. And after that, some people go to the river or go by the beach and get themselves well cleaned up and everything like that. But, it's different now. It's different.
I've been really scared of the jab early in the morning. The ones that were the ones that clack on their fingers.
Yeah.
And they have a snake hanging out.
Yeah.
I was upstairs in my grandmother's house, and I want to see. And when I saw, I threw myself back on the bed because it was so frightening. But jab is something that it's the only thing I really see at Carnival now. I think there's still that cultural intrigue. There's nowhere else in the world like jab on Juve morning in Grenada. So I really like. If I miss jab, I'm vex.
Well, the thing is, I'm sometimes I feel disappointed because knowing where we came from with the jab, I mean the real jab, what was referred to as a yay, what we have now is nothing as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, so what is inconceivable and unacceptable for me is jab with a big truck. Because for me, jab is a mass with whatever they play, the drums, and but steel band wasn't so bad.
The truth is, they don't even
with big truck is just
they don't even play the drums properly for the jab. So a lot has changed. But that being said, Carnival is a time when people enjoy themselves. I mean, there are people who play. There are those who just, as Mr. X said, they play spectator mass. So you just go by the roadside and you look at all the mass as they pass, spectator mass.
I call myself a corporate jab. I put on whatever I can lose, and you get a little black one. If somebody say, "Oh, Sonia," and I put on like a and you feel to play jab.
I don't ever go to that. I don't like it. One of the problems I have is that people don't respect other people's wishes. So my thing is, if you go to look at jab and you don't want to be dirty, they need to respect that. You can play your jab fine. I look at you, I enjoy watching you play, but I don't want to play. So just allow me to enjoy you playing and don't, So that is one.
And the hype leads to a lot of the challenges that we probably can talk tonight.
Yeah.
What makes you get into that space where you have that inhibition, and try to include other people in your fun space, which is not necessarily what they want.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some of the things you have to take into consideration. And as we enter what we call silly season, we have 3 weeks to Carnival, a month, 3 weeks. Right?
Well, it's about just about a month, just about a month, just about a month.
Carnival on the 14th of August we're done.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a month of Carnival, and I want to look at a good part, because I think having our families and our friends come home and to share, to fellowship, to reinstate relationships, to do what we did. Like you talk about being an adolescent, and a lot of your adolescent friends must have migrated. But having them come home, one, to spend time with their families, and two, to meet up with their friends and link and catch back up is also very good. Apart from the fact it's good for a tourism product, right? We just had diaspora convention.
Homecoming, yes. Mm-hmm.
Which I think was excellent. People were happy to be back. There's a lot of things going on in Grenada. Yeah, you have the negative things, but I think, Grenada is growing and we have to accept that. And I think our families need to come home to see and to understand, and maybe to make the input, know that we kind of in the second silly season, which is going to be elections whenever it comes around. But I like this time of the year because I like the family interaction. Right? And talking about family interaction is a good time to ask your mother who had cancer, who had hypertension, who had diabetes.
And the family,
make sure that your friends and your family in the US have the vaccines. And above all, I'm gonna plead to grandparents who are listening, and to parents and families and friends and mothers and fathers of other children, to encourage our children to be immunized. That's one of the things we want to push for as in this summer, so that when your children go back to school in January, they start on a really healthy slate. We have to get our immunizations back up, right? As my daughter lives in Pennsylvania, and today because they have such a high incidence of measles, my daughter has been vaccinated over and over for measles, her MMR and stuff. Yet they're now asking her to show her immunization card because of the high incidence of measles. We should not be thinking of those things at this stage of our lives, right? When diseases like measles were all but eradicated from the world because of good vaccine uptake. We've had several generations of people, and we have several generations of parents who think they should not immunize their children. And while we think that those diseases is just a little like a rash on your skin, no, it's not.
No, of course it's not.
It's a virus that has its own behavior that can damage your heart, that can damage your brain, that can have long-term effects and cause certain chronic deficiencies in your body. So it's not just a childhood disease. Remember that you will get measles and stuff. The child who gets measles tend to be in a lower state of immunity or nutrition. Okay, so we don't want that to happen, because that predisposes you to all the changes that can happen in your body. And down the road, you can't go, why am I so sicky? Why is this or that happening to me? So parents, we do have a responsibility to ensure that the children are immunized against those childhood diseases, right? All that is required for them to be back in school up to 14 years of age. So this is just the first reminder. It's going to have to happen. So we can say, yeah, I'm taking care of my blood pressure. Yeah, I'm taking care of my sugar. And my children are very unlikely to get measles, mumps, rubella, polio, pneumonias, whatever it is, because I have a reliable, safe, even cancers, I have reliable, safe, evidence-proven ways of preventing them from getting disease. Mm-hmm. But we talk about it in another. We expand on that in another space.
Yeah. No. Definitely, it's important.
Grandchildren coming from foreign, from the US and stuff. Make sure children are immunized. I'm sorry, because we still have a group of children who cannot protect themselves, and you don't want your child being healthy but being a carrier of any of these diseases and come and give to the little cousin who has leukemia or sickle cell or some disease where you have some immune compromise. So let's remind us, right, that we have a responsibility to be careful, to take care of us, all of us, and we should ask those who are coming in to ensure that there's nothing that disturbs our health equilibrium.
Yes, indeed. But I want to also remind our people and our listeners. Well, remind us that we're in a season where, in a lot of instances, we let our guards down, and that can expose us to serious problems. So sometimes you don't see it. You don't see it, but it can, and so it's so very important to exercise good judgment in a lot of different ways. Last week, even on our program Managing Your Money, we were talking about that. People tend to, overdo a lot of things. And at the end of it, you find that you're broke, and then you can't take care of the things that you need to take care of. Now, also, here we are on Doctrine Call. If you don't pay attention to your health, there are so many things that can happen that can create problems for you going forward, and put you in a situation where you might not be able to enjoy another carnival. And that is important. So let's not take these things lightly. Doc.
While you're on that note, because I think we can corroborate that thing. We all like to have fun. And I think everybody has a right to enjoy themselves. Okay?
Yes, of course.
But guess what? If you have 4 children and you have a single salary, you cannot buy a $2,000 costume unless you're making $40,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. $10,000.
Correct.
I think we're going to have to recognize what our priorities are so that we don't feel imbalanced at the end of this carnival season. Do not spend what you don't have and then go on the Friday before school open. Our government don't help us with anything. Buy your children uniform and books and make sure they're okay before you start playing mass, before you start buying an outfit for every show, before you start buying eyelash and fingernail. That's your prerogative, but make sure that your children have their food, make sure they're safe, make sure you're not leaving them home with lamp burning in the house, okay, or candle. Make sure that you have a friend who will oversee. And if you guys have, you probably can share around the babysitting. Everybody doesn't have to go out on the same night, right? Because it is very important that our children are physically safe, and not just from violence, but also just physical violence. I'm talking about sexual violence and other ways, whatever ways we can exhibit negligence on our children. Yeah, we have a responsibility.
That is an excellent word, because one of the most common types of abuse, and we probably don't even think about it, is neglect. We can't afford to do that. It is a serious thing, and also, just to backtrack a bit, one might probably ask, okay, well, how is that connected to health? Like, maybe spending $2,000 or $3,000 on a costume and all of that. How is that connected to health? So here's the thing: if you do that and then you are not able you don't have enough money to take care of your children or yourself, what if you fall sick? What if you have a condition that you were not aware of and you fall sick after carnival? How are you going to take care of yourself? How are you going to get the medication that you need? How are you going to pay for whatever? You probably might require some little surgery, something. So the thing is, yeah, all of these things are connected. We just have to, but we need to pay attention and understand how it works. So while, yes, as Doc said, it's all nice to, probably enjoy yourself, have fun, do what you probably want to do, but even so, you need to pay attention to the extremes at which you will go and exercise good judgment. Doc.
Well, the extremes at which you shouldn't go.
Yeah. Well, yes, definitely. I was in the news even last night. The police is investigating some stabbing in different places. I think last week or the week before there was one in the south of the island. I think over the weekend in St. Andrew, and these things keep happening because people are not in control of themselves. And we need to pay attention to that. Now, when you get into these kinds of confrontations and fights, you get stabbed. Your health is impacted, You may not die, but that stab could probably touch something or do something to leave you in a way that you were not. And you will not be able to go back to where you were. So we have to,
Beyond that, think of what it costs, right? Think of what it costs the health system if you get an abdominal stab.
Yeah.
Think of what it costs: the ambulance, the emergency services, stopping the bleeding, getting 4, 5, 6 pints of blood, getting to theater, blocking theater where a woman may need a C-section, but they're in the operating theater for long hours. Anesthesiologist may not be available. You have to call in somebody else. So that's extra funds that government has to spend for the person who's not on call that night. Mm-hmm. And then you need to probably call in extra nurses in ICU to sit the person who's been so severely involved. It's just not. And then the cost. If you keep somebody in an operating theater for a very long time, that's extra money because you're using materials. You have drugs that the anesthesiologist gives. You have the fluids and stuff that the doctor has to give. The doctor is on who you call out may not be the first person on call, so has to be paid for his time out. But the time in the theater just takes time. The longer it's in the theater, the more material you're using, and there is a cost to it. Whether it's drapes that use over the patient's body, the gauze, the sutures, whatever it is, the equipment that's using, the scissors and the clamps and all the rest. Those are all things, and they do cost. Mm-hmm. You might not replace them, but you'll have to sterilize them. Mm-hmm. And if you sterilize them, you have to wait for them. If it's a long surgery, the longer the surgery, the later they're going to be sterilized. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if you have a next crazy surgery comes in right after that. So we have to understand. Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you have doctors on duty,
the people who are impacted because of something somebody does. I mean, it doesn't just remain there. There is so much involved. It's a whole chain reaction.
Let me tell you something, because I think sometimes you don't understand the impact of violence on the people who are not involved.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you may see a stabbing incident or a fight, or you might just see somebody who got killed, or you might see a gunshot. You hear gunshots and stuff. It is traumatic.
Yes, very, very traumatizing.
I worked in the emergency room for like 7 years, right? And I'm driving through the city one day, and these guys are running after the other with knives, big, sharpened down machetes, cutlass, running. And I remember the guy they were running after falls. Oh, luckily, it was a day when there are a lot of people in the town, a lot of people. It was a kind of semi-holiday, right? And there are a lot of people on the streets. So the guys couldn't penetrate and get to him as easily. He gets up and he runs. And I am like 300 yards from my house. I'm in the traffic. Remember, I work emergency room, so I'm accustomed to seeing the outcomes of stabbing and shooting and all the rest, right? And I'm so traumatized when I get home. I walk into my house, stand under the shower with my clothing, for like half hour. Open the shower.
It can. Yes. No, it does.
So I'm supposed to, accustomed to see that. I don't want to see that. If it comes into your space where you have to take care of it, it's fine. But it's not fair that people are out having fun. Do you remember 1972 Carnival when you had Veku and all the chaos in St. George's?
Yes, I remembered. I've heard the stories. I wasn't there, but
I was in St. George's. I live in St. George's, so I remember being there. Luckily, my father's office was very close. And when all hell broke loose, I found my two little brothers and we went into the office, right? But I was concerned about people who were just out there. There were lots of little children that people bring to see Carnival. We have to avoid that. And a lot of it comes because, one, people are irresponsible and bad mind. They're irresponsible and they come to look at an environment where people are less suspecting. They're less suspicious of them. Some people just come to have fun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But they will wheel their machetes and all the rest. One. Or two, they come into an environment because they just want to mash up other people's lives, right? 2, 3, they also under the influences of mind-altering substances like alcohol, other hard drugs, cannabis or ganja, right? Everybody's mind is in a space where they cannot make good decision. There's disinhibition. So whatever is pleasurable is what's practiced at that moment, right? So we have to make up your mind in your sobriety that, look, if me and John not talking, me and Don is not talking. If my girlfriend gone with another boyfriend, that's her business. When Carnival done, me and she will sit and talk about it. But if you waited until that moment of weakness where people are unsuspecting, you will not only get yourself killed or injured. Because
I was about to say that because a lot of times people who sort of place themselves, so there are people who actually do these things. They get into a place where they probably would not want to think twice about what they're planning to do, and usually they're the ones who end up getting the worst of it.
People and be there.
Exactly, it happens a lot. These are the people who go out and look for confusion, and then they're the ones that get beat up. And after that, what happens?
Because of their own inability to control their inhibitions.
That's right.
Okay, they don't understand that I'm just too high to focus on this currently. My mind is too much in a state where I'm seeking pleasure, and I don't understand what the outcome of my actions can be. I'm telling you, once you're sober, start to think that, me and John will take care of this when we're done. If you feel that you can't manage it, stay at your house. Trust me, you can watch it on YouTube live.
Of course, yes, definitely. But it's a very serious thing, and I don't, sometimes I wonder what can be done to sort of, no, there are a lot of things that we cannot stop, but I do believe we can significantly reduce the incidence of these things happening. Now,
and remember too that violence, just cussing somebody off. You might see a girl you want to dance with, she don't want to dance with you. Or you see a guy that you like, or you see a boyfriend. You don't need to cuss people. You don't need to. That's violence. That is violence. Just being rude and disrespectful and telling people bad words and insulting people and all the rest. Look at you, you're this and that. That is not good. That is violent behavior, and violent behavior can beget violent behavior.
But of course,
because you might tell the wrong person that, and then they turn your face behind your back. Those are the things you want to make sure that you stay away from. And so, as far as possible, I'm going to ask people, beg, literally, I'm groveling here, control how much you take in. Because I think alcohol and the other substances we use that alter our minds and our capacity, especially like cannabis, that alter our capacity to make decisions, give us that ability to lose control over our impulses. So we get very impulsive and cause time we go on. You see the men in the rum shop every day. They're drunk and they just say anything and they do anything. And tomorrow morning they're gentlemen and they're not drinking and they're really gentlemen and walking. We have so many examples around ourselves. So I'm going to ask people, I'm begging everybody, and tell a friend, and tell a friend, look, guys, this carnival, we're going to make it nice. Okay? Thinking about violence. We're not thinking about being rude to each other. We're not thinking about this is a good time that Mary is not expecting me. This is a good time to approach the vulnerable. This is a good time that Mary gonna pick on, but that we're gonna go to her house and interfere with a little girl or a little boy. No. Okay? This is a good time we're gonna break into people's houses. No. This is just a time to have a good time, a time for community and looking and say, how can I come out of this? How do I get out on August 13th, 14th probably, because I had Big Fete organized, advertised today. But, okay, a month from now, how on August 14th, Thursday, August 14th, how am I going to have been very satisfied? I had a ball for Carnival. I'm a little broke, but my children's school fees are paid, my books, their uniforms, my house is safe. My children have not been, I know my kids have been 24 hours a day for the last month. All of those things. And how do you get us in? Yeah, I really had a nice time. I got to see my friends. I got to have good. How can we make it healthy? How can we make sure that we have not been involved in any altercation, that we've been taking on medications, people who have diseases like hypertension, diabetes, cancers, whatever it is, that require that you take your medication. How are you going to commit to being well at the end of Carnival?
Very, very important. And these are things that, we need to sit and think about. Sometimes we don't spend enough time, thinking about these things. We just probably see what is right before us at the tip of our noses, and we don't even take a little time to look beyond that. But it's important that we do, because sometimes when you don't, the result of things that happen can have serious effects on your entire life and other people's lives as well.
You alone, you and everybody else.
That's it.
So there are lots of things that are happening now that we don't have control over as individuals. It's very hot. There's a lot of rain. I don't know what happened in your community, but in my community last weekend, I came on Friday afternoon. It rained almost all of Friday night, all of Saturday morning intermittently, all of Saturday night, most of Sunday morning till like 1 o'clock. It just rained. Like somebody opened a pipe that's not dripping, a pipe that's just running constantly. That's how my rain came down. I mean, when I wake up Sunday morning, I can hear the river, which is 100 yards away or more. I hear the river tumbling going down. I haven't heard that in a whole year, okay? So things are happening in nature that we don't have control over. And again, how are you going to be well at the end of this?
Of all of that, yes.
It is season, more rain or fall. Okay? Are you going to go there and catch colds? Are you going to make sure that you don't have cans and things that accumulate? You're going to cut the bush around your house so you don't have mosquitoes. Have you seen the onslaught of mosquito?
Well, and there's I mean, I think there's been a few incidents of dengue. In fact, I know one person who was down with dengue for last week. So these things are there, and we need to pay attention.
Speaking of dengue, people, if you have pain and fever like the cold, take Panadol or Tylenol. If you take the other things like Advil, etc., no Advil, no diclofenac, no cataflam, none of those things. They may hurt. They may stop your pain, I can tell you, but they will also make you can bleed to death as a result of dengue if you get hemorrhagic dengue. So if you start with the pain and the fever and the headache and flu-like symptoms, which may be related to being bitten by mosquitoes, because trust me, last week I thought I was on the war zone because those mosquitoes, I look at 3 mosquitoes sitting on my arm at one time. They are very plentiful. There's a lot of bush that has grown very suddenly.
Yes.
Breeze has been very present. So I'm going to ask people, clean your surroundings, making sure. Remember also that when you go into environments where there are lots of people in one space bring lots of things.
Yeah.
So I may have dengue, but I don't have any symptoms. A mosquito bite me, and then the mosquito bites you and gives you what I have. Okay? So please make sure it's hot, but it's rainy. It's very rainy. Look out for floods. Make sure your house and your space is safe. Right? And then we're in hurricane season, just in case you all didn't remember. We could go out and dance and jump up and do whatever we want, make somersaults in the street. It is still hurricane season. So make sure your houses are prepared, right? Make sure your grandmother house, the people who live alone, this is a community event, right? And make sure that your house is safe, right? Make sure that you keep in touch, that you know what NADMA says, that you have food should we have a hurricane, right? As much as fun as we want to have, we also have to be serious about how we survive.
Yeah.
And this time is a time when we have to consider survival. Whether you're going to go to a party, if you're going to go to a party, you kind of need to know how am I getting there, right?
Yeah.
When I get there, what's going to happen? How much money I have to spend on drinks? How much drinks I'm going to have, right? Is somebody going to spike my drink if I don't pay attention? If I'm a girl or I'm a guy, right? You have to think about all the ways of keeping yourself safe.
Yeah. First of all, actually, you should think about whether or not this is a party that I should go to.
I really need to be at.
That's the first thing. Is that a party I really, really want to go? Do I need to go to this one? And you think about these things, and you probably don't realize that down the line it is going to save you. It's going to save you.
There are repercussions.
There are.
And there will be different repercussions depending on the decisions you make for your life.
Mm-hmm.
As adults, we have to respond. We have to be responsible. So, we have a lot of challenges on the road. So, road safety is a problem. In my community, I had 2 accidents occurring 48 hours in the same spot with 2 cars getting on a big drain. No, this is not a road that a lot of people have used. And because of the road works on the other side of the community, the road has been used as a thoroughfare.
Mm-hmm.
But guys, this is not Point Celine International. Okay, you're not a plane. There's still speed limits in rural communities, right? That you have to drive slow, especially in places that you don't know. Lucky for you guys, you're on the other side from the river, because I can tell you, the 2 people who went on a big drain on that side, right, were lucky. 2 different cars, 2 different days, right? And they were speeding, because I was witness to one of them occurring. I was in my veranda, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Like a plane taking off at the airport. No, you don't do that. My children going in the shop, my niece and nephew going to the auntie's house or coming to my house. Right? Miss Mary's taking a walk down the road because it's a quiet Saturday afternoon. Right? So if you don't respect people's community, don't come.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Sometimes, I wonder if, while the vehicle part of it, while it happens all the time, because we have some drivers on the road that, I don't know, sometimes they probably leave their brains at home when they're going out on the road.
No, they should be driving horse and buggy, I'm sorry to tell you.
But I believe, one of the things we need to... I think we probably get people into this zone too early.
No, I think people have to be big people and be responsible.
But that's the thing. We don't have big and responsible people. And when you're in a situation like that, sometimes you have to take the necessary steps to safeguard other people.
Other people, yeah.
Yes, you have
and that's a public health move, okay?
Yes, it is.
When the community cannot take care of itself, you have to make sure that you set up a system so the community can be taken care of. And that's a very good public health principle, all right? I think everybody thinks it's not going to happen to me.
But that's the thing, but you never know. I saw a young
man this afternoon driving, and the road is still compromised. If you drive down Mount Gay, for example, there's really just 1/3 of the road that's available. Mm-hmm. There's a big trough in the middle, and the MP has said they're going to be fixing it it's going to start soon, right? And I'm looking forward to that, right? And I'm looking forward to that with fear and trepidation, because once that road is fixed, it's going to be Point Celine International tarmac. Unfortunately, everybody's going to want to speed. Nice new road, but there's a young man, and it's kind of treacherous, right? And the vehicle in which I was, the driver got on the side. He couldn't go anywhere else. And this young guy takes out a big flat cigar spliff, okay? The big fat cigar spliff, hands it to his the person in the car with him, right? His passenger on the front seat, in order to be able to manipulate the little car he was driving. No, people, smoking weed slows you down.
It does.
It slows you down mentally. It slows you down physically. Okay? You can't make decisions. So if my driver, who's driving a big vehicle, decided he wasn't going to be nice, right? Or he wasn't going to respect, or he couldn't bother whether he had his vehicle to go to work tomorrow, he would just speed up and have this guy probably under the truck that was parked on the side. Because he insisted on not stopping at the thing. The decision-making capacity is usually affected when you take substances that alter your brain. Alcohol and cannabis slow you down.
And sometimes they're used together.
Absolutely. And cannabis gives you a false sense of security, that I'm good, I'm ready. That's false sense of self-reliance. Okay? When you're not. Right? So I said, look at this. He's actually giving his friend big spliff, right? No. We have to be more responsible than that.
Right? Well, you see, that's a problem. And this is why I believe, measures can be taken, to help minimize. And as I said, these things, they happen whether we're in the carnival season or not. But we do see some increases, around these times when people think that, it's a time to get on.
Have fun.
To have fun. You get on. Not stopping for a moment to think, look, going to the extreme can result in problems for me.
Yes, and I wanted to tell people that another thing that we forgot, that we tend not to pay attention to, is our food safety. Get water that is bottled. Because with the amount of rain that's falling, and the amount of rain we have now, we cannot guarantee, unless you boil your water for yourself and your children, we cannot guarantee the safety of the water. I know now water makes a lot of effort, but when there's a lot of sediment in the water, they simply cannot make it crystal clear. Okay? So bottled water might be your best choice. Unless you boil your water, leave it to sediment, and then bottle your water for your fridge. It is very important, right? Water. Also, don't, because the barbecue smells nice, don't mean you have to buy it from Mr. James. Mr. James, unless he displays that food handler's card by his cart, on his shirt, wherever, do not buy from him.
And just to add here, I know last week there was some training sessions where people were asked to come in to get their badges and do what they had to do. Yes, indeed.
So Mr. James knows, and you have a right. I have asked people on the road and got them very uncomfortable, and I don't have a problem in doing that. My little grandnephew, who's 10 years old, say he wants some barbecue. Can I see your food handler's permit? And the man goes into a state of conniption and say, you don't have one? Have a good night. Right? Don't be afraid to say, may I see your actual food handler's permit?
Well,
because everybody who sells food on the street has a responsibility to be tested, right? For things that they can try, that they can, like parasites and so, that can pass on easily, right? When in the middle of the road, they probably like a bottle of water to rinse their hand. With the toilet probably 100 yards down the road. Okay? I know Spice Master has done better in relation to providing porta potties and stuff. But, we saw the guy last year washing the chicken in the sea, right? Make sure that you have people who are prepared, who understand their responsibility. And I want to talk to people who provide food as well. You have a responsibility to provide the safest food for the thousands of people on the road. Could you imagine if 100 of us buy barbecue from you, right? And your chicken is contaminated. If you cook barbecue today, chicken today, you can't carry it on the street tomorrow again, unless you really make sure it's frozen and all the rest of it, right? If you have chicken and it's just in a bowl and it's not in cold conditions, there are conditions under which you are obligated by law safeguard your meat, to put them away, store, okay, safe storage. So while you barbecue, you might have the barbecue going, or the stewed chicken or the oil or whatever it is. You have a responsibility to make sure that the raw materials that you're using, right, that you're not yet using, are stored in safe condition, especially in this heat. All right, so that's your responsibility. So think about it. We hanging out, you, 20 of us, and the other people around, and this food really good, and see the long line. And then everybody comes in with diarrheal disease and have diarrhea in the middle of town. What are we gonna do?
That's the problem.
They have to lock down. They'll have to lock down Carnival, right?
Yeah, that's the problem. Mm-hmm.
Right. So in order for us to have fun, we all have our responsibilities to carry on. The people who are doing foods, make it the safest possible. People who going to buy, ask them and wait. Let somebody cook the barbecue properly so the chicken in the middle is cooked.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Or whatever they do, whether it's pigtail, oil. So the food is properly cooked so you can eliminate whatever bacteria may just naturally have accumulated in the space.
Yes,
all right?
yes.
And please don't bring old food to sell next day. Thank you. Please.
No, but these things are important. Like I said, we have to be concerned about each other. So while you would like to earn some much needed monies, by doing your sales or whatever it is, you also have a responsibility to ensure that what you are providing for people is safe and it won't create any problems for them. So we need to pay attention. And again, I just want to highlight, that all of these things, this discussion we're having, while we speak of a number of different things, they are directly connected to our health and our well-being, our wellness, our safety, So, don't think because we're talking about money, it's not connected to your wellness. It is. So we need to pay attention to all of these things, and we need to focus and do the right thing. Doc, I wanted to speak a little bit again. You mentioned the because I think it's a very important thing. You spoke about the vehicles on the road, and the thing is, almost every day you drive, you see fresh markings on the road. One of the things that puzzles me a lot, there are so much living examples of what is happening. Yet still, I just don't understand how is
and
it
there are lots of,
that...
And there are lots of dead examples too, okay? People know what the outcomes can be. Whether this is that or your vehicle or somebody, or you kill somebody, chicken, their dog, or you kill somebody, child, or you kill somebody. Okay? There's a lot of examples of how we can destroy completely the things around us. When you run into my house and break down my wall, or you hit my car that's parked safely on the side of the road, or you take your car over a piece of wall because you just had to try and get that car stopped however you want. I saw skid marks of almost 50 feet long last week. Okay, in a little country road. No, I'd like to tell the person, don't come back. Okay? Because I don't feel safe. And it's right in front of my house. I don't feel safe. Okay? I don't feel safe with you driving in my community. I fear for the seniors and our seniors going for a little walk. I fear for everybody who are road users. There's a young lady on Saturday had to jump off the road into a little side road because of the speed with which this pilot was coming. Right? And then the inconveniences, you mash up your car.
Yeah. How do you get to work?
I know, but I don't know. I want to go to work, so don't hit my car, okay? But I'll tell you what it is, because we don't understand. The whole issue of foreign exchange and buying parts. Your parts might be available, okay? You can go online and buy the parts. And then you go on you take your credit card and you go online and you buy it, and you don't see that you've just taken $200 out of our coffers, the money that you can have, right, as foreign exchange for being able to buy other things that are essential, right? We don't see all of that. We don't see the time the police comes and the time that, especially somebody dies. If somebody dies on the road, you know what it costs to do the forensic examination? Thousands of dollars, right? Thousands of dollars. The other thing is that I think, yeah, we have these nice little vehicles. I hear a name called that, and it keeps coming up. But guys, we buy secondhand vehicles. We have to service them very often. We have to service them very often, right? They're not made for our crazy roads. Our roads have a lot of hills. Those are vehicles that are for around town for the most part. So if you're gonna drive around and drive through my community that's full of hills and speed, you're really putting that car under pressure. When's the last time you got your car serviced? I'm not talking about license and insure. I'm talking about you go and you check your tires, you check your balance of tires, you check your oil, you make sure your brake working fine, everything. Or you just get up every morning and polish your car because we like to see your car looking nice, okay? And just get on the road and speed. There is no need to speed. On top of it, when you speed, you waste a lot of petrol. You know that, right?
Of course.
The faster you drive, you burn petrol. We don't have no money. We don't have no oil field yet. No, I'm serious. We don't have that kind of resource. And everything we buy with, what's oil? $140 a barrel?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
For petrol, you know how much that costs? And we're not even sure we're going to be able to get it in the next few months.
But you see, that's the thing. Sometimes we only see the $140, but we have to remember that is just for how it comes up. Now, that has to be refined. And there are additional costs that has to go on to that. So this is how the price goes up. So yeah, all right, oil is whatever on the international market, but that's just that product. It now
but oil has to come. It's not near. Exactly. We don't get oil from Venezuela anymore now.
So that's the thing. That's the thing. After it's refined, it has to travel thousands of miles, and there are costs to all of these things. So sometimes, we blame governments for a lot of things that, in the truth and in fact, is they're really not responsible for. Maybe they are instances where they might be able to probably subsidize some little things, but we have to pay attention to what is happening around us. And even when these situations occur, there are little things that we can do as individuals to help the situation, to help us not to be so severely impacted by all of these changes, So,
a lot of us want to be drivers, right? And we think the rules are just too harsh. Road rules are meant to keep the traffic going.
Well, I think, first of all, Doc, let me tell you something. First of all, I have a policy that people now, especially nowadays, who are going for driver's license, you see, when you have to apply for a job, you have to have qualifications and all of these kind of things, whether you're a bachelor's degree or whatever. I believe we have to get to that stage when it comes to issuing a driver's license.
Well, I think you can have a temporary license, and then because I see people this week learning to drive with a head under the steering wheel, and next week they're driving a beer outside the hand, the one finger spinning around the
That's my point. So my thing is, having all these, it may not be spot on, but if you are properly qualified, it might speak to some levels of intelligence and analytical ability. So you might be in a better position when you're on the road to think a little better than people who just do anything, And while we're on that, I want to address some of those SL trucks.
Oh God!
The drivers, they bully people on the road.
Absolutely,
they bully people on the road. And
they give It's
not fair. It is not fair.
Oh, it's unfair.
We all use the roads. Why do you think because you have a huge vehicle that you can bully your way through and everybody else has to stop?
I'm driving to St. George's and I get to Tempe, right? I'm on the Mount Gay Road, I'm going to Tempe, and two SL trucks come barraging out of Tempe, heading towards the town, right? and I have no choice but to stop. Well, I could not stop if I don't choose, but I chose to stop, which was the correct thing to do. They did not even slow
No, that's how they are. And let me
They
tell
did
you.
not even pretend.
Let me tell you. I've been wanting to see this. There are two tankers, and I'm referring to them as tankers. Green and red tankers that usually come from the country. They usually come down around after 8 in the night. And they usually travel the St. Paul's Road. And you know that road. Every minute is a corner.
Mm-hmm.
You come from one corner into another, and that is it. And some of these trucks, and they start tooting their horns at night from way back. I don't know if they figure when they toot their horn, it means that everybody else has to move out of the way.
Or the road gets straight.
But it is not. It is not fair.
It's not fair.
It is not fair. And the next thing I plan to do is to take the numbers of some of them, and I'm going to come right here, and I am going to call out the registration numbers of these trucks. They belong to companies, and that has to stop.
Some of the companies, like I know the petrol companies, have cameras installed in their trucks that they monitor on the road. I don't know if all of the trucks, and the truth is, I think some of our road laws are going to have to be amended to create a greater sense of responsibility.
It has to be.
So, for example, I believe that every single person who drives a public passenger vehicle, right, should have a defensive driver's license. That is renewable every 2 years. You get upgraded. You get, your skills honed in a little more every year. I believe that is what should happen, right? That everybody who drives a bus, a minibus, an ambulance, ambulance and police vehicles and stuff, yes. But the big truck, everybody should have a defensive driver's license, which teaches you how to drive responsibly, which teaches you how to drive so that you don't kill the next person. Right? Defensive driving is driving for you and for everybody in a safe way. And I believe that people, especially, and those of us like you and I who drive on the road, I don't see anything wrong in us getting defensive driver's licenses, because what it does
is important. Of course.
Yeah.
And those guys who pull to haul the containers, look, this is the police needs to do some more patrolling and pay attention to these guys, because I'm telling you, they bully people on the road, and it is not a nice thing. Because if an accident happens with these containers and these huge trucks, it is very unlikely that the people in the smaller vehicles will not survive.
You remember the afternoon when the truck jackknifed outside of Silver Sands Hotel?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was like 4 years ago.
Yep.
You remember the economic loss that caused?
Yeah.
Remember how many people couldn't get to the airport?
In fact, I was on my way down to Grand Anse, and I had to make a detour, and so I remember it very, very well.
Yes. So, guess what? Some people like to drive. Some people drive because they have to for duties, whether it's social reasons, getting a kid. Some people enjoy driving, but I think we all have to recognize that this driving thing has to be pleasurable at the end of the day, or have been enjoyed at the end of a trip. I don't like being on the road, but there are things I have to do on the road. I must not feel that I've been bullied, that I'm tired, that I really feel like somebody take out my last.
You feel scared, yeah, exactly. I mean, this is not a good thing. It's not a good thing, and
And the men who bully female drivers, look.
They do.
When I was 16, At 16 years, I owned a car, and I tell people that I can drive. I just choose not to drive fast. There's no space to drive fast. I don't enjoy driving fast. I like to get on the road, and I use half of the petrol that you use to drive the same distance, because I take my time. If you drive at a constant, reliable speed, you're not going to burn up all your petrol.
But
you're not going to burn up the petrol. Those are things people need to learn.
the thing about it is, if you take your time, and well, you said it earlier, there are speed limits. So if you stay within that, fine. And the speed limits, when they were decided on, all of these things were taken into consideration. Safety, So I don't see why, sometimes, because you see it happen. You see guys racing, and the police, they see them, and nothing is done.
And it costs us more because we have to pay more insurance. It costs us more. We have to keep buying parts, and all of those are going to hamper the quality of life you have. If you have to take your money and cause my insurance to go up because, because there's so much risk, so much more risk that is practiced, risky behavior that's on the road. It's really unfair to the rest of the population, right? If you can drive responsibly, we shouldn't have the problems that we have with paying so much premium on insurance, and insurance don't give you back money if you don't bounce them.
No, they just reduce you. They just reduce your annual premium, but it gets to a point where and that's it. It stays there.
Yeah, but remember you put into categories for risk, and if they have to spend a lot, you're not going to get your premium reduced by as much as you want to.
No, definitely. So all that being said, it's important because in different ways it impacts our wellness. Because when problems occur, we are affected, others are affected, our health system is impacted, and all of these things. So we have to step up and get our act together. We have.
So one of the things. Some of the other things you have to consider is being on the road and how do I keep safe in relation to the heat? How do I protect my skin? Sorry. How do I protect my skin on the road? How do I keep from getting sunburns? But I want to segue from that into our children. Not everybody want their children to play mass. Not everybody take their children on the road, but a large percentage of our population still allow their children to play carnival, and a large population of children, people take their children to see pretty mass, which is a risky activity these days because some people come on the road naked and have their children watching them naked on the street. I have issues with that. I'm sorry to tell you. Right? I'm sorry. I have issues. I'm sorry, I'm having challenges with my internet. I have issues with that, okay? With our children on the street and playing carnival and not creating that place of safety for them. I want you to talk about that.
I was looking at a video this afternoon, one of those soca artists. And the video opened with a little girl, with just a little piece of tights, and all over her body was tar. And when the song actually started, she started putting the tar. So the artist was sitting, and she started rubbing the tar on the artist and stuff like that. Sometimes I wonder if as adults, when we do these things, if we walk with our brains, because we do these things and we just don't seem to understand how these things can create problems down the line. And a lot of us, we do it in the name of culture. Oh, that's culture. And when problems occur, they pretend that they do not see the connection with previous actions and outcomes. So it's culture. But I want to appeal. No, I am one person. I do not believe that parents should have these little children 4 and 5 years jumping up with big hat back man and woman in band. I have a problem with that. Period. I have a problem with that. I don't think that should happen. And that speaks directly to the safety of our children. When they grown and they get to a certain age, I believe they should be allowed to make some decisions. But I do not believe, because there are a lot of irresponsible parents when it comes to little children. You know, a lot of times, parents and children go wherever, and then you hear announcement and microphone. They have a child here, and what and what, and I mean, and these things, I don't know. Sometimes, in fact, I'll tell you, and while we're speaking about this in the context of the carnival season, I am of the firm opinion that carnival is launched too early in the year. I don't need anybody to agree with me, but I believe that. I cannot understand why it has to be launched in May when carnival is the 10th and the 11th of August. Right? And you can see you can see the impact of that. Once carnival is launched, jab. Our little children are involved. The kind of songs and the kind of lyrics that you hear coming from the mouths of our children, and the problem is down the line you wondering why, and then you turn around and you're blaming all kind of other people, and not that they don't have to be blamed, but you blame them for what is happening. My question is, what did you do to prevent it?
Avoid that, yeah. So I don't have a problem with children playing carnival, but I think children should play carnival with children.
But there is a time and place for everything. Why?
I think children should play carnival with children.
Why?
Because I think children must play carnival in a controlled environment. And you know what I mean by controlled? I don't want my 6-year-old daughter rubbing up against even a 12-year-old boy.
But it should not.
Right? I don't want my 10-year-old daughter I don't want to not be on the periphery where my 10-year-old child. I don't mind children playing carnival. I played carnival as a child, but we had people on the periphery looking out for us, making sure we had water, which is very important.
But you have children carnival,
right? Every so often, somebody take up a little one and give him a jockey to take him from the fatigue. Make sure the skin is covered properly from the sun. Make sure that you protect them from sandfly and mosquito and all those kind of stuff. Make sure they don't get anxiety. You understand? Make sure they understand what's going on. Because some of us just put the children in there so we feel it, they should be involved. Some children don't understand what this is, and you put them in there for your own pleasure. I have challenges with that. Mm-hmm. But I really like Kids Carnival. You have all the children, and you have people who know, parents who walk on the periphery, who make sure their children can get a bathroom break, who make sure that their children don't have shoes that are too tight, who make sure that their children really having fun with their children. They're happy. It's a happy place for them, mm-hmm. and they get food and they hydrated all the time, and it's a great experience. I don't want my child to be, or your child, or anybody's child, to have any doubts about their feeling of safety, their feeling of happiness. Okay? And parents, I'm asking, if your kid plays carnival, be one of the marshals in the band. Stand outside with children playing so you can see what's going on. Keep the other crazy people and the big people, except for the damn children band.
You know, Doc, I endorse that. I have no problem with that. My problem is Sunday afternoon, when parents should be home with their children, probably getting them organized, because school is on holiday, but you probably have work as a parent the following day. You should be home with your children on a Sunday afternoon, probably reading to them or spending a little family time with them. You, in Jab Band with 4 and 5-year-old jumping up and all kind of obscenities taking place, and some of them leading the band. I saw one day, and they're on social media. How could that be right, and how could it be decent? Now tell me this is not abuse. Where are the organizations who always cry abuse when something goes wrong with those children?
That's neglect. That's negligence for some people in some cases. That you shouldn't know all the
I don't understand it.
We choose to give our children alcoholic beverages. No.
Doc, we have a call on the line. Let's just take
Okay.
the call. Yeah. Doctor and call, good evening. Hello.
Hey, good evening, Citizen Augustine.
Good evening, caller. How are you doing?
Hello.
Yes, we're hearing you. Hello.
I think we lost him. I think he had a connection problem.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Yeah, I think we lost the. Sorry about that. I think we lost the call.
It was very windy in the phone.
Yeah, I think we.
Yeah. Lord, I forgot what I was saying. The whole issue of negligence towards our children. Because you really want your children to be home on Sunday when they're gonna get ready to go back to school the following day.
Exactly.
Because
let's try again, Doc. Let's see if we.
Yes.
Doctor and call, good evening.
Hello.
Yes, are you hearing us?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you.
I'm now hearing you, Citizen Augustine. Greetings. How are you?
Not bad. How you do?
Pretty all right. And listening to you and the doctor, it's been some time. But I just thought, what a coincidence that this evening I should just move away from the internationals and what's going on outside. And let me listen to a local. And I remember Dr. Nixon is a pretty long time I've heard her. I was wondering if she would be in. But anyway, if I'm permitted to make a couple of comments on some of the things I'm hearing there. And you would understand, Citizen Augustine, Dr. Nixon, why sometimes I make my noises related to the direction of our country. We have gone astray. Let's start with the last one on our children and the quote-unquote jab. Personally, this is my personal view, others which I speak to, who I speak to, also believe that it's satanic. What are we doing to our children? Why are we corrupting the history of our people who struggle so harshly, with such difficulty in the past to free themselves and associating this jab thing with the quote-unquote culture of this country? I don't know. So much can be spoken about it. Let's talk about the driving. In this here country, I heard it from a senior police officer on your radio station, my brother.
Yeah.
Driver's licenses are issued to people who cannot, quote-unquote, unfortunately, not my fault, read and write. They cannot read and write in this modern time. That knows not people who know nothing about the vehicle, not even how the horn blows. No, what is that? That tells us that it is time that we something. The behavior of some of our people generally, the way we talk, we treat another and so on, is rather unfortunate. I'm listening to the doctor, but the thing is, the doctor, have you ever checked your audience, Godfrey? Have you ever did a poll to see what your audience is when Dr. Nixon and other people like how come on in the evenings?
Yeah, we do.
How many people in this country listen to this thing, to these comments and so on?
No, man, we do have quite a bit, even on the social media. I mean, we sort of gauge on the social media pages, but
it's rather unfortunate. So I just thought I'd make these comments off the bat, but I'll maintain that we have to sit and talk as a people, doctor. For years, deja vu, it is not the first time we're talking about suggesting to the people, brothers and sisters, we have to do better, we have to take care of others, we have to be respectful to others. You hear where you are today, but you don't know what it'll be like tomorrow. Take responsibility for yourself. I know, who cares about that? And anybody who dares to comment about it gets it from them. But anyway, don't give up, doctor. There are people who listen to you. I used to listen. I tell you the reason why I haven't been in recent times. But let us seriously consider as Grenadians that the direction that the nation is going, the morality or lack thereof in this here country, man, woman, and child, everybody, is so deteriorated in recent times. Sometimes I wonder. We need to relook the constitutional architecture of this country so that the people can sit amongst themselves and talk about all these things and decide amongst them in consensus whether or not we should continue this way. But go on, I'm listening to you. May the Lord bless you both.
Thank you, caller. Thanks, yeah. Yes, yes.
I was saying, I was talking, and I want to thank this call, but I want to make a point otherwise. Maintaining the moral and cultural fabric of our country is a population responsibility. We often say, why is the government not doing that? What do we talk about in our community centers? What do we do in church? Do you understand what I'm saying? What do we do in our boys and girls clubs? What do we talk about in guides? What do we talk about in brownies? What is there that moral component? What do we talk about when we do health and family life education? There are fora, I think I should say, where these things should come up. I think generally people tend not to speak about them. Just when you come from an environment where they talk about people's rights. I don't think speaking about how we should all live is an infringement on your life. You can choose to be whatever you want to be, but we must maintain standards, and that is for the entire population to deal with. I don't think it's just for government. I think we need to go back. We still have a great enough volume of our populace that is steeped in strong values, and I think they need to initiate that. Those of us who still have that view should speak about it at lunch and on work. What can we bring?
I agree with you, but I also believe that government has a role, especially because there's some things I believe should be regulated, and there should be no compromise. There are some things that there should be no compromise about. They should be regulated, and thereafter, our society and communities can do their part. Let's just go back to the telephone.
I want you to ask a question before we go on. Do we have censorship on radio?
Yeah. Should.
Let me tell you something. I've heard some lyrics, especially out of reggae. No, I wouldn't say reggae. Jamaican music, dance hall music.
Well, not just. Oh, yeah, I mean, even local. You hear it.
Yes. So what happens to censorship? Because censorship actually takes care of my and your and our children's sensibilities. The population have a right to receive, accept music or cultural input or output that is not that personal, for want of a better word.
I have listen. There are a number of things. I mean, there's so much to say and to talk about. Let's say, for example, calypso. All right, and while you do have some that a little and much less, way less than with the other subgenres. Generally, radio stations don't play calypsos.
No,
we probably the only station that play calypsos. No. As far as I'm concerned, we have so many radio stations here, and I believe that before a license is issued to anybody for radio station, there should be mandated that a certain percentage of the music that you play must be local. That should be one of the criteria for issuing the license.
Yeah.
There are stations in Greece that don't even play local music.
That's very true.
And there are some you would only hear local music at carnival time, and the type you would hear is those soca things. I mean, those, you see, and this is where, this is what I mean when I say I believe that the government has a role to play in regulating a lot of these things. How could you have radio stations? We have so many Calypsonians in Grenada, and there are some calypsos are not played.
They're not played.
They're not played.
Yeah. It's a pity. It's a pity because
but you
those
play
are the calypsos
all kind of funny things you're hearing.
Yeah, the calypsos with lyrics that reflect our social and economic and cultural and political conditions are not being heard by the people. Those that reflect the thoughts of the community.
There are a lot of Doc. There's so much work to be done in our little island. I don't know.
But the shoulder to the wheel is one step at a time, and all of us must move in tandem.
Yeah. I mean, we all make our contributions.
I want to go on with the children's carnival because
just before you go, let's just say that caller been trying to get on.
I'm sorry. Okay, sure.
Doctor on call. Good evening. Hello.
Hi.
Yes. Good evening, caller. Hello.
I think you have a bad connection again.
I'm hearing you well. Are you able to hear me? Hello? I think we something seems to be going on. Yeah, something seems to be going on with the
So I wanted to talk about the use of alcohol in our children. You know, that's a peeve for me, right?
Yeah.
One of my pet peeves, my many pet peeves as a public health practitioner. The law states, the law of Grenada states that you are not, no one, and it speaks to no one being an adult because a child can't do it on his own, is allowed to procure, find, get, buy, and have access to, allow a child to have access to alcohol if the person is under the age of 18. The law states, and I'm going to just say this because it is the law of Grenada, that our children on the road, carnival party, and alcohol includes shandy, because there's alcohol in there, beer, what do you call it? Those are alcoholic beverages, okay? And I'm also speaking about things like sorrel, where you put alcohol at home on your own. Anything that has alcohol is not allowed. And I'll tell you why. One of the reasons, that's a law, right? But from a public health standpoint, from a health standpoint, you know, we used to talk about, you can have one drink for your heart and all that kind of foolishness. The research on cancer is actually showing us that currently, if you consume one alcoholic drink, you start increasing your risk towards developing cancers. Mm-hmm. So in other words, if you say, I can have a drink a day, just having a drink, even occasionally, puts you at risk. That's what we've seen with alcohol. I mean, I've been reading some short articles on TikTok and YouTube and stuff. And I'm like, my goodness, there's so much information we need to share with the population. And like I tell everybody, your phone is your best friend when you're looking for health information, right? It's there. Please do not give our children access to alcohol. In the US, they've actually just increased that age limit to 21.
There we go.
And we talk about evidence-based knowledge because the evidence shows that when you consume alcohol, you increase your risk significantly for developing cancers. I've seen an article today that says the rate of cancer in our population is not in a global population or all over the world, is going to double. It's already so bad. Can you imagine? It's going to double by 2050. 2050 is 25 years from now. I said 25 to make it look long, it's only 24.
Yeah.
Okay? Twice as many of us are going to have cancer. And here what's going to happen. because we have improved access to healthcare, because we have improved as a result of that access to screening and diagnosis, right? If we do not change our lifestyles, we're going to find all of those cancers. And guess what's going to happen? Our health sector is not going to be able to carry the burden that those things are going to bring. So if we know already that alcohol consumption would lead us to have cancers, we kind of need to start pinching ourselves and taking the bottles off the shelves and get them out of our homes.
Yeah.
Make sure that we do not, because alcohol is so addictive.
Yeah.
We have to make sure that our children don't go and buy small enough ice. God forgive me for using the word. I'm just using samples. Shandy, what we have, the Caribbean, those things that are alcoholic beverages. I mean, I look at the Blue Bear. The Blue Caribbean has almost twice the amount of alcohol as with the regular brown bottle bears. So if you're looking for that kick, you buy a Blue Bear, which is premium. And I saw last weekend in front of the mall in town that people are being given those drinks free of cost. Free. By somebody who I would believe, I'm not calling name, don't ask me, I would believe would have a greater sense of responsibility for this population.
Well,
so we're not going to politic. We're not going to, and that's other silly season and all the rest of it, and encourage our population to consume alcohol when we know that alcohol puts them at risk for a whole lot. Okay? We're not going to use and encourage people to abuse alcohol and alcoholic beverages so that we can criticize whichever government is in power about the challenges with cancer. Let's get real. Let's get honest. Let's keep our population safe, especially.
Yeah. Let's try the phone again and see if we get through with the caller. Doctor on call. Good evening.
Hi. Good night.
Yes. Good evening.
I support you 100%. Where you say that carnival is launched too early. They don't need to launch carnival in May because every village wants to have their own activities. And most of the time, they don't even get the security, the police. So they go ahead, and the police shouldn't even give license to them because they don't even come to patrol. And that's where the young guys get the opportunity to do all the shopping and their stuff. So why would they want to launch carnival in May when carnival is still in August? By the time the real time comes for carnival, everybody already play their own mass in their village. And that doesn't make any sense because if carnival is in August, I could say, yes, the middle of July is fine.
Yeah.
And then that's where the young guys get the opportunity to do all their shopping and their stuff because they're looking for the crowd, and most of the time they cannot afford to pay security. So then don't give them any license. If they cannot come on patrol, then don't give any license to them to have these activities. Every village wants to play jab. That doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
By the time the real carnival time come, everybody already played their mass.
Yeah, everybody jabbed out.
Everybody jabbed out, of course.
Yes.
You know?
Yes,
and this drink that they have now, Rude Boy, well, this take over.
All right.
You need to tell me about it because I've never heard about it.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Yes, indeed. Well, Doc, we're out of time, actually.
Really?
Yes, we're out of time. It's actually almost 10. But I think we can dedicate maybe the next two programs, to sort of reinforcing the point of people exercising good judgment around the season and trying to encourage people to do what is in the best interest of all, because it's important. Because if we don't, at the end of it, we all are going to feel unhappy. We all are going to regret. We all are going to be in pain. While maybe not directly, but somebody we know, somebody we love might end up in problems. And these things just don't sit very well. I also want to, call on the police to, do some more patrolling, especially in the villages. This every minute jab thing, it just cannot work. It just cannot work. So it is something that we have to address. We have to address.
My turn?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we kind of didn't mention, and I'm going to mention it quickly, is the whole issue of personal hygiene. Please stop peeing on the side of the road, people. Please.
I wanted to use that. Well, I mean, the whole hygiene issue, personal hygiene issue, is a program in itself, because just aside from that, there are people who need to take better care of themselves individually, and
yeah.
so we can address those things.
Yeah. As a silly season.
Mm-hmm.
And you will be inebriated and all the rest of it. There are ways they have enough porta potty on the road, okay? Go and use a bathroom to urinate, to do number 2, number 3, whatever number you want to do, okay? But don't do it on the road. It's just too unpleasant that on Wednesday morning, when I walk on the street, on Scott Street, and look at alleys, people have to deal with all of this urine on the corner. That's just bad character. That's a really bad reflection of us as a population. And if it shows that we kind of don't have any home pride, okay? Because when you're out there, this is your home extended. We're going to spend a lot of time entertaining yourself, all right? However, it's silly season, and I really do want everybody to enjoy Carnival. It's a time, like I said, I like when Carnival comes around, because I think I see a whole population that can enjoy themselves, not necessarily spending a whole lot of money, but the camaraderie and the fun and the lyrics from the Jab Jab. Remember when you're a child and Shorty and Jab Jab had lyrics, especially when the Jab Jab speaking fast, and those things, those cultural things. I really like to see them. I don't like the nude carnival. I really think it's unfair. I think it's taken out the character of carnival out of the artistry. I don't know. I think we have too much birds in this country on carnival time, all them feathers. But it's a masquerade, and people do whatever they want. Yeah. But the nudity is just not good for our children. It teaches them that they don't need to have boundaries. Okay, that they don't need to have any
self-pride,
boundaries. And I with all fear, no, I don't have a body that I put outside, so I'm not jealous of you. The point is that I don't think that our children should be exposed. And my grandmother and my grandfather, who would like to go and watch mass, need to see something culturally expressed and artistry and that kind of stuff. But then again, it's a question of being responsible for yourself when you get out there, making sure that you're safe, that the people you're drinking and hanging out with in your band are people you can trust, that people don't have weapons, that people don't have things that you can put on your skin, that you protect your skin from mosquito bites, that you drink enough water, that you keep hydrated, you eat enough food, that you minimize the amount of alcohol you take. And if you know you can't handle rum, leave it alone. Drink soda, okay, or water. Eat properly.
Water.
But water. But of all, please be safe. And safety is something. If you're going to drive from St. George's to Grenville using the East Coast, you have to know the road. You have to understand, and you have to have a plan, a traffic plan, a transition plan. When I leave my house in the morning, I think of all the ways where there are potholes, where people's drive past. So I'm never surprised. In the same way, when you go there, you should be very aware of your environment. It's nice to have fun, but you cannot have fun in an environment of disinhibition.
Yes, totally agree. Yes.
Right? You cannot have fun in especially a mental environment of disinhibition. I am not responsible for you.
Indeed. Doc, that's all the time we have, folks. That's all the time we have. We thank you all for staying with us. We thank you all for your contribution. Of course, you can join us again next Tuesday. And I think we definitely will continue the line of conversation, because we do have an obligation to put information out there, so at least it may fall in air that may at least heed it and, consider the next course of action. So thank you very much. We'll be back with you tomorrow evening from 6. Do take care. Have a good night. All the best.
Night, everybody.
In a world that's always changing, one thing remains constant. Your dreams matter. At the Grenville Cooperative